What's up? Earlier this year, I spent 3 months living in a house full of 10 startup founders who were all running their companies, who had all raised at least $500,000 in investment. A couple of the founders were second-time founders. One of them exited their last company for over $1 billion. Really legit founders. I was not a founder. I was doing marketing for the startup residency itself, but I ate every meal with them and spent 24/7 alongside them and learned a ton. And so I wanted to share some of those learnings. And so there were three core things that I learned. One is about how they ran their business. The second is about the startup world as a whole and how VC works. And then the third is about the community or about the house itself and how that ran. So the first thing about how these people ran their company that I noticed that was common across all of them is the speed of iteration that all of them used. The speed that they worked at was incredible. I think hard work is kind of the entrance price of admissions. Everybody worked hard, but it was very directed. People knew exactly what they were testing. You would talk to somebody about an idea that they had, and then you talk to them at dinner of the same day, and they're like, okay, yeah, we are already shipping code out to test that idea. And then you talk to them at lunch the next day, and they'll be like, yeah, this is what we learned. Maybe not that quick of a turnaround cycle for results, but point is they would get an idea, and once they were solidified that this is the best course of action, they just move as quickly as possible to get to there. And a story of this, I had a friend who had a massive pivot in his business. They were running their business. It was going really quite well. They were locking down sales consistently, big sales contracts every week. And they're like, yo, this is good, but I think we need to make a massive change to our business model. And he kind of came to me when it first happened, like the day it happened. They stayed up till like 3 a.m. that night, whiteboarding it out, thinking through all of the different ways that they would change this business. And this is a business they'd been working on for at least a year and really had solid traction. And then they kind of thought about it for a few days, then talked to an advisor, and then within a week, they had decided, yep, this is the shift that we're going. We're going to completely change our business model. And then like a week later, they were already flying out to different clients, like potential customers, and seeing if there was actually interest in this thing. So between like changing whole business model to when they had customer validation and were talking to people about this new idea was like a week, if that. And so, yeah, the speed is just killer. And absolutely a price of admission that I noticed across all of them. And there are people that came in and talked to the groups, like guest speakers who all ran unicorns, like billion-dollar startups, things like Quora, Instacart, etc. And I think as the organization gets bigger, you can't make those big changes anymore. But I do still think the thing that's unique about startups and new business is you still move quickly, but the sense I get, I could be wrong about this because this is just what I gathered from them, is that you still move quickly, but the tests are just more narrowly defined. So instead of like a whole business model shift happening in a week, it's like a minor product tweak. Okay, so speed of iteration. Second, how the VC game works. So I will first tell how it doesn't work. And this is really changed my perspective about how startups work as a whole. And it kind of breaks your brain, I think, to a degree. But I thought if you have a business and it's profitable and it's growing, then VCs will want to invest. You know, you have a product that people want, you're growing your numbers, and you are per customer making more money than you're losing by a lot, then what more else do you want? But in VC, that is actually not what they're looking for. They're not looking for a solid business that cash flows, brings in money every week. What they're looking for, and this is what I learned, is they have a portfolio. A VC might have 100 portfolio companies, or like, let's say just for simple numbers, there's 10 in their fund. They invest in 10 companies, usually it's more, but 10 companies, and they're expecting 9 of those companies to go to zero. The thing about VC is a lot of times it's really early, it's tech, it's people taking big bets, it's inherently risky. So 9 of the companies that they're going to invest in are going to go to zero. Then the one company is going to go 100x So it's going to save the portfolio and then some, because it needs to make up for all of these lost causes. So they're not looking for a business that's going to give them a 3x return on investment, which is a pretty good return. But what they're looking for is something that'll be massive, something that'll be worth $10 billion if it works. And that's like the number I think that is the target right now. Is you want them to be like, you want a VC to look at your company and say, I don't know if this is going to work, but if it does, it'll be worth $10 billion. And that's just like a complete mind break. And this is for VC specifically. This isn't for, there's other ways to get investment and other ways to grow your business that isn't this. But startups and VCs are looking for massive returns like this. And it kind of breaks your brain and forces you to think way, way bigger, which I wasn't expecting. So the last thing I learned is the power of accountability and community. So I don't know if this is like the ego, maybe this is me projecting. I don't think everybody thinks this. But when people talk about getting help or like needing support from a community, it seems like, oh, I'm not good enough by myself, so I need help from the community. That's like a little immature. That's the ego talking. But I think that's a lot of people's natural reaction. They try to go about business or doing ambitious projects by themselves. But the truth is, doing anything big and ambitious is a lonely path. There's not a lot of people who can relate to quitting your great job at Facebook to start a startup that is super risky and could make no money. It's a very like unique set of experiences. And whether it's that or, you know, launching your music career or starting a YouTube channel or trying to be an actor, I think you need to find these pockets of people who are taking these big risks in their life, because it is such a rare human experience. And you shouldn't be ashamed of looking for that community and that support. And it's so much easier to do it when you have people around you. And these are people who are definitely A players. It's not like they need other people. One of the people I talked to, literally his last company is worth over $1 billion. And he's like, yeah, this is absolutely what I needed. I needed to have this community. It's so good to be around other people. So I don't know how common of a belief this is, but to kind of shun community or like to look down on it, but it's absolutely necessary and makes life so much easier. It's just so easy to work hard when you just see people doing the same thing. Like you rise to the occasion, you rise to the people around you. And it's not that you wouldn't do it otherwise, but you just don't need to spend the mental power to discipline yourself, because it's just automatic. It's like, when you think about it, when most people were in high school, you literally sat there and worked for 8 hours a day nonstop with an hour of lunch in between, because you just didn't have a choice. And to try and find communities and environments like that, where sure you have a choice, but you're kind of manufacturing this idea of this necessity to do it, I think is really positive. Like, positive peer pressure is the best force in the world, in my opinion. But those are the three main things I learned from staying at this startup residency with super successful founders. And yeah, hope that helped. Maybe I'll tell a story another day about how I ended up there, and how to surround yourself with strong people like this. But this is it. Cool. Thanks.